James. We talked rumors. We talked Michigan man top 10. It's time to discuss Michigan versus Ohio State. It's the game. Might not be the close contest we're hoping for, though.
You know, it's interesting how this year is working out, Tom. You've got Harbaugh and you've got Urban Meyer, and probably not a bigger matchup of name and interesting coaches in all of college football at any time, any year. And so from that level, it's interesting. Coming off last year, which was one of the better 2 or 3 games of the year in college football, maybe the game in college football outside the national championship game last year, came down to the last play of the game where Michigan stopped Ohio State on 4th down and won the game. That didn't happen. Oh, yeah, that's what should have happened.
We'll get to that.
That's what realistically should have happened, but we all know the refs were paid. And coming off, Tom, a few years prior to that, the 2013 game, so really 2 of the last 4 games have been absurdly epic. In 2013, for those of you who don't remember, Michigan ties the ball game, in theory, on the last play of the game. Under a minute left. 42-41. Instead of tying it and going to overtime, Michigan decides to go for 2 to force to get the win. And unfortunately for Michigan, Ohio State knocked the ball down at the goal line on kind of a 3-yard curl pass. So 2 of the last 4 games, Tom, have come down to the last play of the game for Michigan to have a chance to win it. And unfortunately, Ohio State came up on the winning side of that both times. Tomorrow's game, I don't think will be one of those, Tom, although I think that Brady Hoke team in 2013 probably on paper had less of a chance to win than this Michigan team does, so anything can happen. But I think it's going to be kind of a somber atmosphere in Michigan tomorrow. I don't think the fans are going to be too into it, and I think Ohio State is going to try and kind of put their stamp on, hey, if we win out, we should be in the college football playoff, and I don't think they're going to let up off the gas the entire game, so it could get ugly.
Let's get to some players to watch then. We start, of course, with the quarterback for Ohio State, J.T. Barrett. Last year against Michigan, James, he was not a thrower. OSU did not have a good working aerial attack. He ended up running the ball pretty effectively at 125 yards on the ground, more than he had through the air. Do you think we'll see the same, or has Ohio State's new offense led by Kevin Wilson air it out a little bit more successfully?
Tom, when they're on, this is a much more potent offense for Ohio State. And I think when J.T. Barrett's on, he's as potent as he's been since his true freshman year in 2014 when they ultimately went on to win a national championship. But he's off every 3rd game, so we're hoping as a Michigan show that they are off. And I'm hoping as a Michigan fan that tomorrow he's off. But it really is going to come down to, Tom, can he get loose up the middle on those quarterback draws and kind of the outside on those read options? If he does, Michigan has no chance. They kept him in check, Tom, for almost 3 full quarters last year until that run we just showed that was about 40 yards to run down the sideline. And after that, it became the J.T. Barrett show in the 4th quarter. Michigan was up 10 at that point. They came back to tie the game on a field goal with no time on the clock, if you remember. Send a double overtime where he scored the touchdown in overtime and then, of course, got that first down that I'm still questioning.
We'll get to it later, folks. Don't worry.
To happen. But if J.T. Barrett has under 50 yards rushing, Tom, I think Michigan has a very strong chance to win. Tom, can you believe this? In the 130-plus years of Michigan football and over 100, I think it's the 112th game they played Ohio State, and as we said, this will be 100 straight years they've played each other now. No quarterback on either side has ever won 4 straight as a starting quarterback. J.T. Barrett has the opportunity to be the first guy to do that tomorrow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I almost put down 19th year senior for J.T. Barrett, by the way, because I thought that would have been
It seems
funny.
like he's been around forever. I swear, you were, I think, in middle school when he was recruited to Ohio State. I'm fairly certain. So another interesting point here, Tom. J.T. Barrett, the leading passer in Big Ten history, both from yards and touchdowns and everything, has never thrown in 3 prior starts. Has never thrown for over 200 yards against Michigan. Crazy stat.
That's weird.
So if Michigan has a chance to win this game, I think they don't have to worry about the passing as much as they do. Is him getting running, which opens up everything else. Opens up J.K. Dobbins, opens up Mike Weber, opens up the passing game.
You just mentioned J.K. Dobbins. He's our next player to watch. Curtis Samuel off with the Carolina Panthers in the NFL. Dobbins has stepped up. The true freshman has made an instant impact. He is now the offensive weapon to fear for Ohio State.
And so it's not Weber for a reason, Tom, is Michigan can shut down running backs like Weber, the big bruising types that mostly operate
north-south
up
guys.
the middle. Yeah, it's Dobbins, much like Saquon Barkley and some others in recent history with not just Jim Harbaugh, but going back years of Michigan football. They can't seem to handle those more scat back kind of guys. The guys like Curtis Samuel last year. Tom, just think about this. If Samuel gets knocked down where he's on the 3rd down play last year in double overtime, if he gets tackled where he is stopped basically for dead it is not 4th and 1 for Ohio State to try and go and win the game. It becomes 4th and 14. He was stopped 13 yards behind the line of scrimmage, Tom. He stopped field, cut back, cut inside, and went all the way back around the other side to just get back to 4th and 1, which then JT Barrett had the opportunity to go for it on 4th down. If he gets stopped back there, Tom, Ohio State's kicking like a 46-yard field goal to try and tie the game and send it into 3 overtimes, rather than going forward on 4th and 1 from the 16-yard line. So this is the guy that, much like when Urban Meyer was at Florida, he had players like this. Braxton Miller became this after he became quarterback, after he got out of the quarterback role. It's these guys who can run, catch, get those sweeps that Michigan's going to have a lot of problems with. And these stats for a true freshman, Tom, are phenomenal. And I think they really got to focus in on him. I think they got to put a spy on Barrett. They got to put a spy on Dobbins as well.
Hudson on one of them.
Exactly. Hudson on one. I think Bush probably on the other one. And you got to make sure your safeties, who have been a liability, Tom, in the passing game, can cover guys, frankly.
If you're spying, that's what that means. You're not going to have the same help over the top.
Yeah, and you're going one-on-one with these Ohio State safeties, and you got to hope that that defensive line that's got 3 of Michigan's 4 best players, according to the Michigan Man Top 10, can put the smackdown on JT Barrett. Hit him hard and make him think twice about stepping up in the pocket.
All right, one defensive guy to watch. Everyone knows his brother Joey lighting up the NFL right now for the Chargers. Nick Bosa is a hell of a player as well, James, and with Bosa, I don't know what the Bosa family is feeding their children or what their genetics are, but all that entire family is unreal. And Bosa, on a very good Ohio State defensive line, has already become maybe the best one, if not outright the best one.
Well, Tom, of course we know what they're feeding him. It's clearly steroids.
Okay,
there's no question about that in my mind. Ohio State's been taking steroids for 30 years, every player, so that's no question. Kind of joking there, but it's what a phenomenal football family. I mean, Joey goes out, becomes a top 5 pick, and has become one of the better players in the NFL in his second year in the program. His brother Nick, 3 years younger than him.
Nick might be a top 5 pick too.
Can you imagine, Tom? At one point 5 years ago, these guys were both in the same high school football team as a senior and as a freshman in high school. That the opposing quarterbacks must have had a little bit of trouble with those two guys. But if you look at mock drafts next year, Tom, Ohio, they've got Nick Bosa going number 5 overall, according to Walter Football's 2019 mock draft. He's not eligible until next year. This is what's hurt Michigan all year, is they have not been able to stop these defensive ends from terrorizing the quarterback. It got Will and Spate knocked out of a game. It got Brandon Peters knocked out of the game last week, Tom. And so they've really got a key on Bosa. And as many have said, this Ohio State defensive line is stacked across the way, so they can't double and triple team Bosa. I think these offensive linemen need to really grow up fast if Michigan has any chance of getting any kind of passing game with Bosa kind of hoping to terrorize Michigan's quarterbacks.
I agree there, James. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room then. From last year, JT Barrett, 4th and 1, air quotes, gets the first down. We'll play the video here for you guys in a second. James, you really wanted to talk about it. I've been listening to you complain about it for almost a full year now. Did JT Barrett get the first down, or did Michigan stop him?
Tom, they stopped him, okay? They stopped him every angle I've ever seen. It is the ball, it is not the helmet you see there. He runs his own guy. The ball never gets lined. And by the way, the yellow line is not the line. That's only do they do because they can't put it over top of the white line. It's the white line that's the real line. If you look at that ball, Tom, I swear in 20 years they're going to get some like Kennedy assassination style footage of this from every different angle, and they're going to put like a wall right there. They're going to show the ball never pass. I think in the future they're going to change the results of this game to Michigan being the victor. I don't know how that's going to work as far as the 2016 college football playoffs and whether Michigan would have won it, but I will never, as long as I live, Tom, forget this play. It makes me angry every single day of the week, actually. Every day I wake up, I think about this play. I'm not even joking at this point. This is the most irritating play because, Tom,
you might need some mental evaluation.
That is most likely true when it comes to my love for Michigan football, Tom. But this was really the play. Think about how different Jim Harbaugh's perception in the national media would have been this year. He would have gone to 1-1 versus Urban Meyer instead of 0-2. He would have gone to the playoff in his second year, Tom. Had a probably much better chance with his defense of scoring a point against Clemson, unlike Ohio State, who got shut out by Clemson. And he would have come into this year, okay, we know it's the down year. This is a recruiting anomaly year because Brady Hoke had a couple down recruiting classes. You've got no upperclassmen. Hey, we know Harbaugh in 2 years of the Hoax players. What's the future look like, Tom? I think it was the most negatively impactful play in Michigan football in my lifetime, Tom. That's how big of a play it was. And I know they could have said, hey, they should have stopped Ohio State in the very next play. They got a sweep in for a touchdown. They still had a chance to win it, but I just can't get over, Tom, the fact that they
FACK.
FACK, the fact that they didn't, and you showed Jim Harbaugh after this game, he'll say what I'm going to say here.
Mad.
It was this far, Tom, and he held his hands up and showed about 8, 12 inches. I still think no matter what angle you look at it, except if it's one of those angles where an Ohio State fan went into Photoshop and tilted the screen to the left,
remember that one.
so all the hash marks were off center to make it look like the line
funny.
was differently. I think any way you look at it, Tom, he didn't cross the line with the ball, and that's just how I'm never going to see it. And I really want to hear from Michigan fans. Are you as angry as me? Do you think about it every day still? I think you do, because whenever we put this up on this Michigan football Facebook page, Tom, it gets more reactions than anything.
True,
I think people are still thinking about it. It was the most negatively impactful football player in the history of Michigan.
All right, let's talk some keys to the game here, kind of more rapid fire style before we get to our predictions. So get yours in the comments, folks. First key to the game, James, Brandon Peters is healthy and plays.
Yeah, key to the game, Tom, it's the only key, in my opinion. I mean, this is if it doesn't happen, no chance to win. So if you don't see Brandon Peters, number 18, walk out on the field to take that first snap, Tom, I think you just turn the game off and go walk your dog, because it is going to be a bloodbath.
All right. Second key to the game, the offensive line plays their game of the year.
I mean, what do you want to say here? They're getting quarterbacks knocked out left and right. You can't run the ball against anybody with a pulse. You run for 200 yards for a couple guys versus Minnesota or Maryland or these teams. Once Wisconsin or Penn State or Michigan State comes on, you can't go over 100. So unless they play the game of the year, they got to channel 1995 Michigan, who upset a number two Ohio State by one player, Shamunga Biakabatuka, putting 313 yards on the ground by one man. That's the kind of game we need out of this offensive lineman. Lena Bond, our producer, looked at me like I was crazy. The man's name was Shamunga Biakabatuka from Alberta, Canada.
Anyway, next key to the game here, that the defense that we saw in the first half against OSU last year shows up.
And it's the first half defense from last week versus Wisconsin, Tom. It's they couldn't throw the ball. They couldn't run the ball. Michigan was dominating the game against Ohio State. I went into halftime thinking they should have been up by 17 or 20 points last year. It wasn't for those those Wilton Speight interceptions that really crushed Michigan's momentum last year. And kind of same thing happened last week versus Wisconsin. First half doesn't turn into second half defense. That's the defense that needs to show up the entire game.
All right, one more key to the game here, then we're going to get to some score comments here. 175 rushing yards is your target for Michigan on the ground this week.
Got to get 175, Tom. That means they're pushing the ball. I don't think either team should have over 400 yards total on offense. So if Michigan gets 175, I think that means they got their way. The offensive play line showed up. The running back showed up. And it opened up opportunities for whoever the quarterback to at least have a chance to throw the ball, Tom. And that's where I see it.
All right, score predictions time, folks. Get yours in the comments section. James, I will go first because you are cheating this week as far as I'm concerned with your score predictions. I have Ohio State winning 27-10. I think what we're going to see, James, and I know that you don't like this. I don't like this either. OSU is going to win out, and the committee is going to put them in the CFP. What's going to happen, especially with Miami losing today?
Miami losing today, it's looking more and more likely if Ohio State wins. They are going to be.
Said it weeks ago.
Yeah, you did say, Tom. You've been calling it for weeks. I kind of discredited you for a little bit back. But I've got you, Tom. 2 picks for me. I'm going with Peters. Michigan keeps it close. 24-17 Ohio State. I still think the running game of Ohio State and JT Barrett are too much to overcome. Without Peters, Tom, if it's John O'Corn, I'm going 38-3 Ohio State. And this is to blow out 2015 and maybe 2008 with Rich Rod proportions.
All right, folks, that will do it for us today. Once again, I am Tom Downey. Follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. That is the Michigan football insider, James Yoder. A big thank you to our sponsor today, Man Crates. If you know an awesome guy who needs a gift, get him a Man Crate at mancrates.com. Perfect time of the year, James. It's holiday season.
It's Black
It's all
Friday.
you need.
Go to Man Crates. Why you waste your time in store? Go to mancrates.com and get the guy in your life an awesome, manly box of testosterone. That's what it is, Tom.
All right, guys, that is it for us today. If you missed anything, don't worry. We're going to play it again here, including the Michigan Man Top 10, so stay tuned for that. But for James, producer Lena, I'm Tom Downey. You guys stay classy out there.